This is the podcast TV show that gives you the facts, food, and fitness. Join me as I travel around in my RV interviewing people from all around the world via online and in person, discovering the 8 dimensions of wellness so that we can find a way to live in complete balance. Check that out, guys, the final product. If you're hungry, you got smell-o-vision, come get it. There you go, I wish, right? Time to get going. Welcome to Wellness on the Go. I am your host, Jason Cronin, and enjoy the show. Our special guest today is an international speaker, author, coach, and healer. She's also going to be cooking a fabulous meal for us in a little bit. Coming live from Honolulu, Hawaii, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Diana Gremillion. How you doing today, Diana? How's everything going?
Hey, Jason. Aloha. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm looking so forward to what you're going to cook, but I always wanted to go to Hawaii. That's the one destination I've never been to. That's on my list. So hopefully someday I can go to Hawaii. Everybody wants to go to Hawaii, I think. How is the weather right now in Hawaii?
I like to say that all year round, it's 80 degrees and ocean breeze.
Oh,
so, I mean, it varies like maybe 5-10 degrees one way or the other. But it's pretty much always about 80 degrees and there's always a breeze.
Wow, that's like the best weather ever. You gotta bring that over to Tennessee. I'll take that. That's perfect. In your bio, you have extensive background. You're not just a chef. You have extensive background cooking with a large crew, I'm assuming, for the White House for when Obama was in administration. Tell us a little bit about that. And when did you start your cooking adventure?
Yeah. So I have cooked in the past for President Obama, but it was once. So he does have a culinary team with the White House. I got the chance to cook for him when I was working at a Michelin-starred restaurant, but I do have experience with cooking for folk, like for events as large as 4,000 people. And that involves anytime that you're creating something for multiples, like really what it is scalable systems. So that was a big part of my success and how I got into cooking in the first place. It was not my first choice as a career. I never thought that I would do it. But when the global financial crisis hit, and at the time I was working on Wall Street in debt capital markets, advising companies like the Walmarts of the world, the JCPenney and the Macy's, or the McDonald's of the world, in generating capital through debt. When the debt market fell out and just shifted as a result of the subprime crisis and all that, I knew that my job was on the line. And when I thought about, should I go back to culinary, or should I go back to business school? Should I go to work at a hedge fund? Like, what should I do? I heard a voice from my intuition that told me, if you go back to school, it's going to be culinary school. And even though it didn't make any sense, because neither of my parents knows how to cook, my very first recipe that I ever learned was basically how to cook an egg in a microwave, which that is not a recipe.
Absolutely. Microwave is the best friend.
But it just, I noticed I had a talent for it and interest in it, where even after 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hour days, I still wanted to come home after banking and cook something. And so even though it made no sense to go into culinary, I could tell that there was a lot of passion behind it. So I traded in the fancy shoes, the Louboutins, for kitchen clogs, and never looked back. It was awesome.
Because before you were a chef, weren't you working with billion-dollar companies, like you were just saying, like trading and helping them make big deals, which is amazing. It's a big switch. But if that's experience for out there. All the corporate people listening, follow your dreams. I know it's big money, but follow your dreams.
Yeah. For me personally, there was a moment where I just realized that there wasn't an amount of money that was going to make me happy. And that there had to be something else for me. And so, it was being in crisis, being in the middle of kind of my world falling apart, that I said, okay, well, maybe I'm being led to something else. Maybe there's something else out there for me. And I took the leap. I ended up meeting my husband, who's also a chef. And then that led us to working in San Francisco, New York, and then eventually moving to Hawaii. So as I achieved, what were smaller dreams at the time, it just opened me up to really go for the big dreams that had seemed impossible my whole life.
Absolutely. And that's an awesome career that you got into, and helping people and eating is the most important part. I know everyone out there that loves food probably would love to see what your recipes are like. And today we're going to experience that. But another question I did have is that you're a healer. What kind of healer are you? And is that according to what the food you cook, or a different type of healing?
The healing that I do actually is energy psychology work. So it's an understanding that we're not just a mind-body system, but a mind-body energy system. And that what happens for us when we go through life is we have certain experiences that our body actually stores inside us as trauma. So it's kind of like if you've ever had somebody who you had a fight with walk into a room and instantly you feel it flare up in your body, or your body instantly reacts. That trauma is stored inside you in some way, and it has control over your response or your reaction. You don't have any control over the fact that that's how you respond. It just happens inside your body. And what I show people how to do with some of the energy psychology healing work I do is to start to release that physical energetic pattern that's present in their body by using this technique that was developed by Gary Craig, a psychologist back in the 1980s. And since then, it's been used across the world to help people with PTSD. I've used it for limiting beliefs, subconscious blocks, all forms of trauma, depression. And it's truly amazing to be able to help people. And it's kind of, honestly, one of the things I love about it, Jason, is that it's everything I do. I really love empowering people to do better themselves. So whether it's cooking, I love to teach cooking, because then, once I teach you how to make something and it's delicious, you have that skill for the rest of your life, and it impacts your life in a better way. And the form of healing that I do, energy psychology, I love because I can show my clients how to do it once, and then they have that tool to serve them for the rest of their life. Anytime that the anger comes up again, anytime that they have trauma come up again. Everything I do in life is about building systems, or really empowering people to have the tools that they need to achieve their desired result, whatever that is.
That's great. And I love the fact that you're into that field. And I know I dabbled in some energy work and also different types of healing, but not that type of psychology type healing. That's amazing. And I'm assuming with your coaching, that helps a lot as well. What type of coaching do you do, and what kind of clients do you work with?
Yeah, so I identify as a master coach, and that means that I coach coaches, I coach executives, and I coach leaders. So those are typically the people I coach. And part of the reason, again, has to do with I like helping people who are making things or doing things with whatever it is that I teach. If I teach somebody who's maybe not necessarily a business owner or a business leader, then I'm teaching a follower, and the teaching doesn't go as far. But if I'm teaching leaders, if I'm teaching executives and coaches, I know that the impact that I have is significantly greater, because by impacting the leaders, it impacts their entire team. It impacts everyone who works with them, who knows them. It's my kind of way of getting the most bang out of my buck and out of the experience of coaching. And what I coach people in is basically, how to take back their time, how to overcome burnout. Take what I call crisis. I call crisis like a nightmare ingredient, right? Because I'm a believer as a chef that one of the things that really distinguishes a chef from a normal home cook or something is the ability to work with whatever ingredients that they have and to extract the greatest flavor, the greatest characteristics out of something that might seem bitter or unpalatable, and to create something with greater depth and nuance. So, chefs use ingredients like burnt garlic or, bitter flavors that on their own seem unpalatable. They seem like a nightmare ingredient, something you wouldn't want to eat, like bitter, salty, sour. But by working with that ingredient, drawing out the characteristics that we want to extract and amplify, we're actually able to add depth into the final dish. We add nuance. If you think even about some of your very favorite foods or the most common favorite foods, so things like wine, coffee, chocolate, all of these things, cheese, are foods that actually went through basically like a rotting process. They went through a process of transformation where they were denatured and changed. And, milk on its own could just turn into, over time, rotten milk, right? Spoiled milk. But with skill and expertise, with an understanding of the science and what's really going on, we can actually create cheese. And how we do that is by really harnessing this rotting process, this thing that looks like a bad thing that's happening to us, like a crisis in terms of a transformation, and saying, okay, well, I'm gonna pull out the best out of this. I'm gonna see what I can get that's really amazing. And I believe that we can do that with life's ingredients, with the crisis that we face. And even if it's not as extreme as crisis, if it seems like we have limited time, helping people achieve more with that time and really maximize the resources that are available to them.
That's awesome. And you mentioned all my favorites, like the cheeses, the fermented foods, pretty much everything I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of rotten foods. No, I was kidding. But overall, it's amazing foods. And everyone out there listening loves chocolate and coffee. And along with your coaching, I know you're an international speaker. Like where and what kind of clients do you speak in front of? Mostly corporate or just the general population?
I speak to a lot of business owners and business leaders. So I have spoken to different corporations, different women's groups, professional groups, things like that. And actually, I never ever thought that was a dream that I never thought I would achieve, because I'm super introverted and shy. So if it were up to me, part of why I'm such a big fan of systems and like operations and engineering is I'm more that person who likes to be in the back. I don't want the spotlight or any of the attention. I want to make sure things are running smoothly on the back end. I'm being introverted. It's not talking to people is definitely more my comfort zone kind of thing. So I never thought that I would do this work, but I found myself with the opportunity to speak in front of 300 people early on in my career. And I just found, I was like, oh my God, like that was amazing. And it hit so many of the things that I value, like making a larger impact with not that much of my time, because I'm all about, like how can we maximize our time? I was like, this is a great way to make a bigger impact, take up less of my time, and it makes a huge difference for people, and I love it. And so, even though, for some of the first speaking engagements I ever did, I had to do some energy work to break through those limiting beliefs and the patterns of anxiety and stress that just naturally came up for me. And that's how I also use the healing work for myself. It just really helped me kind of skyrocket. And I've been able, as a result, to harness that nervous energy to become really powerful energy that has really served me and the audiences that I've had the opportunity to speak with.
That's perfect. And I'm glad you're out there speaking to all the corporations. A lot of burnout. I have a lot of clients that are corporate clients, and burnout is number one on their list. And I'm glad you're taking care and helping them. I try helping them the best I can, but I know your background as well could really help out all the corporate clients listening. And for people listening, right now, are you still doing corporate coaching, or are you actually just focusing on more cooking? How's that working for you?
Well, Jason, I believe that my life gets to be dreamy delicious. And what that means is that I get to include all of my favorite things, my favorite flavors or things that I love to do. So I do it all. I cook, I coach corporate clients, I coach individuals and business owners, I lead different teams, I show people how to manifest. So I have a book called Manifest Your Dreams, and I talk about the 4-step process that I developed to manifest your dreams. It takes only 15 minutes a day. And yeah, like I do it all because I believe that in life, like we really get to create what we want. We get to be the master chef of our life, and we get to choose all the ingredients that we love. We get to put it all in. So I do it all.
That's great. For me too, I love to try a little bit of everything. And if you have time to do it, you might as well. before we go, I want to talk about your podcast as well as what kind of podcast do you have out there?
Yeah, so earlier this year, I started the Body Positivity podcast with my business partner, Arla Studley Cash. And during this podcast, what we discuss is body positivity. And we come from very different backgrounds and have had very different experiences. And we just talk about our own personal experiences with learning how to love our bodies. I would say that Arlis's kind of expertise in that is helping people set up boundaries and clear communication in relationships, whereas mine is really helping people with stress and burnout and setting firm boundaries in that kind of way and working with self-care. And it has been such an amazing journey. We actually hosted an international conference this year. We have guests almost every single week, where our guests get a chance to share a little bit about their experience with not loving their body, with what parts of their body they've loved, and even like where they've felt kind of challenged by societal norms. Because I think all of us in some way don't fit into the mold of what we believe society tells us we need to be. And it's been really interesting hearing from our diverse guests, both men, women of all different kinds of backgrounds, different orientations, to really understand how all of us face body positivity challenges in some way or another. It's been really, really rewarding. And that came from my own personal understanding and work of realizing that me constantly working hard and just pushing and kind of working with this hustle culture was actually what was making me sick. So when I did not transition from chef to coach voluntarily, that happened because I got so sick. So I was in my early 30s, opening 9 different restaurants in 2 different states on the same day. And my hair started falling out. And it was just devastating. I realized, here I was in my early 30s with as much disease and chronic pain and illness as a woman in her 60s. And I was like, this can't be right. This can't be how this goes. There's got to be a smarter way. There are people who are more successful than I am, and they're not sick like I am. So there's got to be something that I'm not doing right. Like there's got to be a better way to do this. And it was easy at first to blame a job, to blame everything else for what was going on. But I realized, you know what? I thought in my head, I was like, I'm the common denominator. I'm the common thread throughout all of these different things. It's me. So there has to be something I can change. And I realized that it had a lot to do with self-care, setting better boundaries, not working or not expecting myself to be perfect all the time. Learning how to ask for and lean on support was probably also one of the hardest things, and something that many folks who are in burnout, they feel like they're the only ones who can do something. They just feel like it's so much faster if they're the ones who do it themselves, instead of asking for help and learning how to be strategic. And what I've found is that since asking for help, since partnering with people and being intentional and strategic about it, I've just been able to grow my business, start additional businesses, grow my team, grow my impact. And it means that I get to spend more and more time doing what I love. And that's what I love to help people do, is how can you spend more time doing what you love and making more money, being more successful, and being more happy.
Absolutely. Talking about burnout, with corporate burnout, like we mentioned before, was really high. One question I do have is, if I ask everybody, what is your definition of total wellness?
I think total wellness is defined by each being. So meaning that we all, what works for you in terms of total wellness is not necessarily what works for me. And I think that we all are on our own individual journey in finding what wellness means for us. I think there are components of it that are mind, body, soul, for sure. But that can look different for all of us. There's no one size fits all for wellness. It's kind of like that idea of something being dreamy delicious. Like if you think about something that's delicious, like there are things that you think are delicious that I don't think are delicious, and vice versa. And I get to define and like what happens to be to my taste, whatever flavor that is unique, and same for you. And there is no wrong, right? So it's not like because I'm a trained chef, my palate is better than yours or anything like that. I truly believe that what it is that I have a different palate than you do. I have different things that I think are delicious, and so do you. And I think that leads us to just a unique tapestry of life and experiences in wellness in life that are available to all of us. And it's up to us to kind of sample different things and figure out, well, does this work for me? Does that work for me? And to also, just embrace that, like, yeah, what's delicious to me doesn't have to be delicious to you. What's wellness for me does not have to be what's wellness for you. We can all find that on our own.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to use the word dreamy delicious tomorrow. That's a perfect word, or perfect 2 words to say. I like that's really, really good. But now, speaking about dreamy delicious, you're going to be cooking for us today. You said that you're going to have a roasted broccoli with lemon tahini sauce. That sounds awesome. So let's dive right into that, from my RV kitchen to your kitchen. Let's rock and roll. When we come back, Diana will be cooking a roasted broccoli with tahini sauce. Stay tuned. Are you looking to get in shape, eat better, and improve your lifestyle? Body Express Wellness Solutions will give you the results you're looking for. Contact us for your free custom wellness consultation. Check us out online at Facebook, Instagram, and our website at Body Express WS. We're elevating lifestyles and sculpting bodies of all ages.
Oven's preheated. I have a bowl here, and I have a sheet tray that's lined with aluminum foil just for easy cleanup. I have some olive oil and some salt, and I'm just going to go ahead and set myself up really quickly. I'm going to grab my broccoli. So I just buy a bag from Costco. We're also, for this recipe, we're going to use some lemon. I'm going to use a clove of garlic and some water and some salt. So this is literally all I need for this recipe. This whole dish has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients, including the water. Now, to prepare the broccoli, all I do is I take it out of the bag, and there are going to be some florets in here that are like a little too big. Whenever I have a floret that's too big, what I like to do is I like to just use a paring knife and kind of split it by the bottom to to make it like more consistent in how it cooks. So I just have all this broccoli. I'm going to split it into different pieces. These are okay. Split. And this recipe takes no more than 10 minutes start to finish, which is really cool. Honestly, the longest part might be the fact that I didn't remember to preheat the oven. I talked about it and then I forgot. Yeah, it's super easy. So I'm just cutting it from the bottom. And the reason I like to cut it from the bottom is it makes sure that the stem is the hardest part of the broccoli. And because of that, I want to make sure that it cooks through. So I want to make sure that none of the pieces of stem are that big. So here I am just cutting it all up. Now it's all ready. I'm just going to toss it in a little bit of olive oil and salt. Just a little drizzle of olive oil. I would say probably a tablespoon of olive oil, and then some kosher salt. And what I want to say about this, so, I know you've probably had broccoli before, Jason, and it was like totally bland or like bad tasting. What I love about this broccoli recipe is that what we're actually doing is we're working with the Maillard reaction, which is a browning phenomenon that happens when we cook. And when you're able to get greens kind of browned, it's kind of like they take on this like more complex and meaty flavor. So have you ever had, for example, asparagus that's blanched?
I have, yeah, asparagus. Yeah,
it tastes completely different than grilled.
It definitely did.
It tastes completely different from the grilled asparagus, right?
Yeah, most of the broccoli that I had is mostly steamed, but it sounds like you're doing a lot differently.
Yeah. So what I'm doing by roasting the broccoli is I'm working with that Maillard reaction that happens and the browning that happens. And that creates a caramelization that creates these complex flavor compounds that happen inside the broccoli. So it has like more of a nutty, roasty taste, kind of like you have with grilled asparagus versus blanched asparagus, where blanched asparagus tastes very green and vegetal. This tastes like nice and nutty and has like a richness and like a crispiness that's super delicious. So all I'm going to do after I put the salt and the oil on here is I'm just going to drop it onto a lined tray and actually just going to throw it right into the oven. And it shouldn't take any more than about 9 minutes. So I have the oven preheating at 475. Just gonna drop this in for 9 minutes, and that'll be all the cooking time that needs. So let's go ahead and work now on lemon tahini sauce. So all I need for the lemon tahini sauce, I'm gonna assemble the blender right here for ease. I'm gonna use a cutting board, and I'm gonna use this lemon. Now this lemon, what many people don't know is that a lot of the flavor compounds in a lemon are actually found in the skin, in the zest. This is where all the essential oils are. And this is where, when we think of like lemon flavor, that's really where we're getting the lemon flavor. So in order to amplify the lemon flavor, like so many people just throw away the zest or the rind of the lemon, I'm actually gonna use a microplane to peel it. So I'm using the microplane. Oh, let me actually show you this too, because most people misuse the microplane. So when you use your microplane, the way that most people will do this is they'll have the microplane facing with a sharp side facing up. And when you do that, all of your zest falls down, right? All over the place. So you'd have to be like on a cutting board or something. If you actually flip it over so that the sharp side is facing down, this allows you to catch all of that zest right here. And what that does is that means that you can actually even zest faster. So in a kitchen, right? Like it's all the same basic technique or tools that you'd use just as a home cook. But we've got to prep for 150 people. We've got to prep for 200 people. So we're always looking for the fastest, most efficient ways to do things. And when you're zesting a lemon, what you can do instead of just like rubbing back and forth like this, which is the motion most people do, you want to be very intentional about the motion and go up and down, then rotate the lemon, up and down to rotate the lemon. And by doing this, I literally just go a couple of strokes all around the lemon, and I'm able to zest the lemon, what, 15 seconds? And it's much faster. I took all the zest off, so it's nice and clean. And now I can just go ahead and slice the lemon. And I use now, so we're into the recipe. So we have the lemon zest in here. I'm gonna juice this lemon straight into the blender. Oops. And I can already smell the essential oils in the lemon zest. That fragrance is really also what gives us a whole lot of flavor. Okay, so now, oh, the other ingredient, I grabbed my tahini. Okay, so I lied, it's 7 ingredients, including the water and the salt. So this is 1 lemon juice and the zest of it. I'm gonna add 2 ounces roughly of tahini to this too. So I'm gonna use a big spoon. You can measure it out if you want, but the nice thing about savory recipes is that you don't have to be quite as exact. So I'm gonna put about what looks like a 1/4 cup of tahini into here. At the same time, we have the broccoli roasting away. It's at a high heat, 475, to really activate that browning process. I'm gonna drop a little bit of salt in here. I'm gonna take out 1 garlic clove. And just peel that. So how I like to work with garlic, let me show you my setting. So when I'm working with garlic, you can either use the back of a knife or just your hand. If I were to use the back of a knife, I would just put it right over and then just smack it.
Ooh, get some aggression out there.
Smack it down. And then that just removes any of the outside, the papery skin. And then I'm just gonna stick that whole clove of garlic right into the blender. So that's done. This recipe is already almost pretty much finished. So we put the salt in here. There's the lemon, the garlic, about 2 ounces of tahini. I'm gonna put a little bit more because I think this might be.
And tahini, what is exactly tahini? I never had tahini before.
Oh, tahini is it's a sesame paste. The Middle Eastern sesame paste. It has like a nutty flavor. It's made out of sesame seeds. And it's really delicious. So now all I'm gonna do to this is I'm gonna add a little bit of water. Use about 3/4 of a cup of water. I'm kind of taking this just to the 1 cup line. And now I'm going to cover this. I'm gonna take you along with me to show you the blending process. But we're pretty much there with the sauce. And now all we need to do is blend this sauce together. So this is a Vitamix blender. Whenever you're working with a blender, you actually kind of think about it kind of like starting a car. So you know how when you start a car, like you gotta get in gear first, like you're in a lower gear to kind of build up momentum. And then you move into the higher gear to like really kick things up, right? The same is actually true when you're working with a blender. So when you start a blender, many people, they fail to, they kind of go straight to 0 to 60 like instantly. But if what you do is you actually build the momentum at a lower speed first of blending, you're actually able to get a smoother and more effective puree. And that was something that I had no idea about until I worked in professional kitchens where they want you to make these super fancy, like bright green purees that are super smooth too. And I realized that, oh, this is really just like, this is just another form of science kind of. And we can kind of understand this by understanding how a car works too. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this on a low speed. And then just slowly move to a higher speed.
I learn something new every day. I didn't know about the blending. This is like culinary school 101 for me.
And it doesn't really take long. But
that's a commercial blender, is that correct?
This is actually one that I bought at maybe like a Williams Sonoma or something. They sell Vitamix at like Sur La Table, Williams Sonoma, like some of the high-end grocery stores. I'm actually gonna empty out this cup. So before we actually take this out of the container, it's always important to taste your food as you go. So I did add salt to this, but I don't know that it has enough salt. So before I take this off, I'm gonna just go ahead and taste it. And you can see it's like a very creamy, like kind of sauce. It's like very white. I think it could use a little more tahini and a little more salt, but it's pretty much there. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit more. It has really great garlicky flavor. The lemon zest and the acidity from the lemon comes through. And because the sesame is like pretty much pure fat, it adds like a really nice creaminess to it. I'm just gonna add a little bit of tahini, a little bit of salt, and we're 7.5 minutes into cooking the broccoli. So literally by the time that this is ready, the broccoli will be ready too.
I'm definitely gonna try cooking the broccoli the way you have it there. That's perfect. For everybody listening out there, it's definitely a really healthy, fast, easy meal to cook. And just in a short period of time, you can eat healthy and serve a lot of people. You don't have to spend a lot of money, which is pretty much the primary.
Absolutely. This is super inexpensive. Like I mentioned, it's keto, it's low carb, it's gluten-free, it's nut-free. You can see how nice and creamy the sauce is now. And all I'm gonna do is basically plate up the broccoli. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're about 40 seconds out until it's finished. And I'm gonna show you this broccoli because what's really nice about it is it has that like caramelized kind of flavor and it's nice and crispy. And it doesn't take a long time. Only 9 minutes in the oven. Like literally, if we weren't doing this demo, I could do this at the same time that I'm planning, like I'm making calls and doing all this stuff. I'm really so much about wanting to help people create recipes and cook in ways that are delicious, but also still maximize their time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. Ready to go, perfect. And you can see this broccoli has like little bits of color on it. Like these little brown bits here are really gonna give it a whole lot of flavor. And I thought, Jason, if it's okay, I could also show people how to plate this. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, whatever you have in store, okay, that's perfect.
So, awesome. So I have this broccoli. I'm just going to use a spoon to kind of put it onto the plate. There we go. So I'm just taking this broccoli, I'm putting it onto the plate, kind of arranging it a little bit. Some of the pieces that I see have a little, like really nice browning color, I'm going to put at the very end. But I'm just kind of randomly like putting these on the plate, making sure some of the brown bits kind of stand out. So these add a whole lot of nuance and flavor to the broccoli. So it's not just green and vegetal, but like it tastes nutty and meaty and has like depth. Because I don't know about you, Jason, that the last thing I want to do is eat something that tastes that. Okay, so I'm also going to sauce this. So you could literally dip your broccoli right into this sauce, this nice creamy sauce. But what I'm going to do is since I wanted to plate it for you, you can just drizzle this sauce like right over all of this broccoli. And the nuttiness of the browning of the broccoli, plus the acid and the garlicky sense of this sauce is just so delicious. Yeah, and so that's really all I do to make some dreamy, delicious roast broccoli and tahini sauce. Less than 10 minutes, or 10 minutes probably exactly.
That looks delicious, everyone out there. That broccoli is definitely a really healthy new way. Instead of having cheese and broccoli, now you have broccoli with tahini sauce. But thank you so much, Diane, for cooking for us today. And how do we find you to hire you for people listening out there that want one of your services?
Yeah, I mean, I do cooking classes, I do coaching, I have my journal, all those different things. You can find out about all of it at dianagremillion.com. So that's DianaGremillion.com.
That's great. Thank you very much for doing the demo and also for the interview. But all your information will be in the bio section of the podcast. But thank you and have a great day.
Thanks. I look forward to eating my lunch.
Excellent work. Thank you very much. I'm live here at my house in my room that I do meditation in. In a minute, I'll show you how to clear your mind in the morning. But before we do that, I'd like to give a big thank you to Diane for being on our show today. I greatly appreciate your time, learning about your business and your wellness journey. Coming up next, we'll have the Body Express Wellness Solution tip. Stay tuned. The Body Express Wellness Solution tip is, you got to clear your mind before you start your day. And the worst day of the week is on a Monday, the most stressful. And then also on a Friday, the end of the week, everybody wants to get home and enjoy the weekend. And some people do work on the weekends. If you have a family, you're working 24/7. What I like to do in the morning, I'll share with you part of my morning routine. What I do, and the reason why I'm kneeling down is that this is the position that I meditate in. But you can meditate cross-legged. You can also meditate laying down and put a mat down. Due to the fact that my floor is carpeted, it's easier for me just to kneel. I use a mat when I stretch. And this is actually a Buddhist style position for meditation and also martial arts. If you have knee problems, I highly suggest that you do cross-legged or sitting in a chair or laying down. And do whatever is comfortable for you. The most important part is to clear your mind. It's very, very important. So what I do is put my hand over hand, like you're holding out your hands to receive something, or like you're going to put water in your hands, hand over hand. I just rest them on my thighs. And then what I do for simplicity, I'm going to keep my eyes open when I'm talking to you, but normally I close my eyes and I say to myself when I start my meditation, take a deep breath in. So breathe in, let go of the tension, breathe in again, let go of the stress, breathe in one more time, let go of the anxiety, and let the muscles relax, and smile. That's my morning routine, the start of my meditation. And then what I do after I do that, it helps clear my mind. And what I'm doing at the same time is thinking of the color of gold. The color of gold is energizing and powerful. So what you try to do is think about the color of gold coming in through the crown of your head and going down throughout your body, taking all the bad energy out of your system. And you say at the same time, let go of the tension, let go of the stress, let go of the anxiety, let the muscles relax, and smile. And at the same time, you're breathing in each time, in through your nose, and out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. By doing that, you're helping oxygen to come into your body and to let CO2 escape, and allows your body to relax. And you're not tensing your shoulders, you're not tensing your stomach, you're just relaxing your whole body, sitting straight up or laying down or whatever's most comfortable for you. And I can repeat that process with my eyes closed, thinking about the color of gold. And there are certain mantras you can say to yourself if you practice any mantras, like in yoga or in Buddhism, or even just a prayer if you want to. But my real goal is to think about nothing while I'm meditating, to clear my mind and think about the now. Don't think about later. Think about what you're doing now. Is to clear your mind and have a blank slate to start from. That's the best part. Just clearing your mind. If a thought comes into your head while you're meditating, try to just let that thought come in and then push it out. Don't think about your grocery list. Don't think about your job. Don't think about anything besides yourself and in your mind. I'm Jason Cronin here, your host of Wellness on the Go. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and your support is greatly appreciated. If you can donate some money each month, that'd be great. $1 or more is excellent. I really appreciate you watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great fit day. I'll see you next time.